Hello, everyone. So welcome to the August community call. We're super excited to give you a bunch of updates, and yeah, we have a good lineup for this month. It's August. We're being around in different events. We're being shipping different features, and and we are here for shouting out a lot of our community members and builders around the Linea ecosystem, Layer 2 ecosystem, and even more. So let's get it started. So what are we going to speak today? So we're doing quickly an intro. Then we will also move with Declan. I think you know him from some of the previous community call. He will share a little bit about what's the roadmap around linear scalability, decentralization, and much more. And we actually will ask him some spicy questions. Then, as always, for anybody that doesn't have any context, so we are running this Linea developer cook-off, and it's nothing else as a monthly online developer hackathon with 10,000 in bounties. And the goal was really showing who won during the past dev cook-off, and we will have Govardhan from Frogverse presenting us his demo and how he built it and deployed his demo through Linea. And then a little bit next, we will speak about Delegation Toolkit. It will be actually super interesting to see Ryan. So he gave a really good presentation back in Brussels. And yeah, he also was invited in our MetaMask developer community call. And I think because this is all around Linea, we also want to see why building a demo, why building a dApp around our delegation toolkit on Linea is a winning combination. And he will also go through a little bit about background. And then we will have Tyler. Maybe you know him from previous activation and presentation. This guy is a little bit around everywhere, and we will speak a little bit about Phosphor in general, but also how to collect and monetize collectible on Linea. And I think if the demo gods will allow us, I think we will also do something live and present it to us. And then we'll proceed some very quick Q&A. Just a little bit some housekeeping. As you can see, you have a chat wherever you're seeing this live stream right now. We have a chat. Feel free to ask questions. We have awesome community members supporting us around this call today, and we will also post a bunch of links. So feel free really to ask questions. Even if you have any doubts, we are really trying to be steady, constant in our developer calls, and it's just great to also show you what we've been shipping, and also the great community members around the Linea ecosystem, what has been building during the past month. So without further ado, let's invite Declan on stage. And so I think this guy introduced himself everywhere. And if you don't know, Declan has been around for a while. So Declan, feel free to introduce yourself to everyone.
Thanks, Francesco. Yeah, good to see everyone again. For those that haven't met me before, so I'm Declan. I lead the product team at Linea. I've been with the team since the very beginning. So I've been through the full roller coaster of which hopefully a lot of you have as well, and getting Linea to where it is today. I wanted to take some time today to talk about our scalability roadmap. So why talk about this now? So obviously Linea is a scaling solution for Ethereum. We're trying to scale Ethereum. That's the kind of whole point. We've actually achieved a lot so far. I mean, I'm sure if you use Linea mainnet today, you've got transactions extremely cheap. They're really fast, secure. There's still a lot to do. And I want to sort of just highlight some of the things that we're working on at the moment to make sure that we always have cheap, affordable, fast transactions. So that's kind of the main purpose today.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely super keen to see always around this kind of road to decentralization, and I think scalability is definitely a big part of it. Do you want to share your screen? How you want to do it?
Yeah. So the way I want to do this, I've got to see. Okay, so I wrote a tweet thread on this.
Nice.
I think
we
2 to 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Well, I guess it's not a thread, one long post these days. But basically, sort of try to break different components down in a sort of roll up. So we can look at them individually and say, okay, like how are we going to scale this to get to where we need to get to? So just kind of remind everyone of where we want to get to. Like as a scaling solution, we want to, onboard billions of users, millions of developers, and we want to like help, move a lot of use cases from Web 2 to Web 3, but also try and create like new exciting use cases that were not possible, in the previous world. And so to do that, we need to make sure that we have, a very scalable platform that can like meet peak demand. Okay, so like this is actually a really important point because when we talk about like infrastructure, what we need to do is we need to make sure that it can meet like peak capacity. So obviously, when you use a blockchain or when you use any sort of application, technological application, like there's going to be moments where demand is at the highest, and so that's what we're constantly thinking about from an engineering and product perspective. So okay, just kind of like dive in then. So just to kind of like set the stage of where we're at today, and it's been it's been a hard process to get to here, but what's actually enabling us to have these sort of affordable fast transactions. So we've actually got Linea to a point where we're able to process 12 million gas per second. Okay, so basically we have 2-second blocks, and each block can take up to 24 million gas, the same as gas units being the same sort of unit of measurement of processing power that Ethereum has. So just to kind of give you like a comparison, Ethereum as an L1 processes, up to like 30 million gas max every 12 seconds. Okay, so we're looking at something like 6 times faster, roughly sort of 6 times more like capacity overall. Okay, which is the reason why you can see these cheap transactions on Linea today, and it feels a lot faster than the L1. So that's where we are today, but we're orders of magnitude away from where we want to get to and where we need to be to like onboard the billions of users. So the actual plan that we've put together and the goal we've put together is 2 gigagas per second. Well, this is like 2,000 megagas per second. Okay, and sort of doing some like napkin math, that gives you something like 20,000 on-chain transactions per second. Okay, so that is a lot, by the way. Like, I think today, like sort of as a peak on an L2, at most you might see around 100. Okay, that would be like a highly active chain, L1 or L2. So we want to get to 20,000 transactions per second, roughly. And so to do that, we're going to lower the block times. We want to get from 2 seconds to 100 milliseconds, 0.1 seconds. And we want to have even bigger blocks. So like I said, today we have 24 million gas blocks. We want to times that by around 8 to get to 200 million gas blocks. Okay, so that's what gets you to this number of 2 gigagas per second. There's a whole long forum post on this, by the way. So actually, if you do want to dive in after, you can like go here and check it out. But I'm going to give you the sort of TLDR today. Okay, so starting off with the prover, because this is the piece that's like super specific to a ZK rollup. Like we have to generate a validity proof, which proves the computational Linea to the Ethereum L1. The good thing about provers is actually it scales linearly. So like as we add more transactions to Linea, like we just can add more provers. So if we have faster blocks, we just add more provers, and this all can be run in parallel. We've actually, when we've run campaigns before, such as like Linear Park or DeFi Voyage, and we've had like the peak capacity, I've seen we've run over like 600 provers in parallel, which is a lot. But it's fine. Like if we have more activity, we can always just add more provers in parallel, as long as the cost economics will always make sure that it's sustainable. So of course, we're going to continue to optimize the prover, which means like reducing both the cost to run the provers, generate the proof, and also the latency to actually generate the proof. That's an ongoing thing that we're going to do, but it doesn't really impact like this scalability target of 2 gigagas per second. Okay, it's just about reducing the overall cost for a user in its transaction. There is a sort of nuance here where if you have bigger blocks, right, 8 times bigger blocks, you're going to have to increase the memory of these machines. So we need to make sure that we can like break things down into sort of reasonable chunks so they fit on a single computer. But it's not sort of a big issue that we're worried about. So the next component here is the trace generation. Okay, so like when you generate a block, so when you create a block on Linea, you actually generate the execution trace, which gets fed into the prover. This is very similar to the prover component where it scales linearly, and there's really no anticipated issue here to hit our 2 gigagas per second goal. Then we get on to some of the harder stuff. So this is a big one. You probably heard this word before, data availability. Okay, so how Linea works today and all Ethereum rollups is we essentially take your transactions on layer 2, we roll them up, hence the name roll up, into a sort of batch, and then we publish that batch of data in a compressed format to the Ethereum data availability layer. Okay, and obviously we've had things like the Dencun upgrade, EIP 4844, blobs, all of these things, they've gone to basically help to make Ethereum a better data availability solution. So if we have more transactions on Linea, that means we have more data that we need to send to Ethereum mainnet. So to give you an idea of where we're at today, so if we're 4844 with blobs, Ethereum L1 can handle something like 400 transactions per second with like good compression across all rollups. So this isn't just Linea, but it's like all the other L2 rollups as well. There's 400 max capacity for all of them. If we go over this, we get a fee market, and we have to start competing for that space. So that is clearly not enough, far from it, if we want to get to 2 gigagas per second. Luckily, there's the Ethereum community is working on this. So we have the L1 roadmap, which will expand to something like 1.4 megabytes in the near future. The ultimate end game is to get to something like 16 megabytes per L1 block with full dank sharding. What the L2 is, what Linea we're going to focus on, is basically the compression. So we get the data, we're going to compress it to minimize it as small as possible, so that when we send it to the L1, it has a smaller footprint. So we're going to focus on getting this down. We have a compression ratio, which last time I checked is best in class of 0.2. So if the data size is 1 on Linea, it's a fifth of the size when we publish it to the L1. But obviously, improving that is just going to lead to more benefits for us and for other rollups as well. Okay, so that's definitely an area to focus on. Sequencer, so this is like your block builder, right? So on Ethereum, like there's a block builder. This is like what we call the block builder on L2. The interesting thing about a ZK rollup is because of the prover, we have to calculate what we call like prover limits. So there are some operations in the EVM which are like expensive to prove. We want to count them before we actually send them to the prover to make sure there isn't going to be some sort of like denial of service attack, right? We're not going to like, have to try and prove like millions of like check operations, and it costs the bomb, and the whole thing breaks down. So we currently have these limits, but we're actually improving the system so much that we're going to be able to remove them sometime next year. And then for the remaining opcodes as well, there's already an EIP out to like increase the gas cost in the EVM itself, so L1 as well, of the more prover expensive opcodes. Okay, so that's also going to improve the situation. Then it's just a case of building blocks as fast as possible, state access, read writes, thinking, execution. I want to call out the Hyperledger Bezu team, which is also part of Consensus. They recently deployed this parallel transaction execution feature onto the Ethereum mainnet, which is super cool. Basically, like any transaction that can be processed in parallel in a sort of optimistic way and it gives you a 45% performance increase there. So that basically, because Linea is an EVM equivalent L2, we're going to be able to move that to Linea as well. So you get this sort of like symbiotic relationship between improvements on layer 1 and layer 2. RPC, so RPC isn't like a core part of the rollup, but obviously it's good to have good requests and responses to specific methods as well. So we want to make sure that can handle 2 gigagas per second. And obviously, working with people like Infura, Alchemy, like all the big RPC providers, to make sure that we have good diversity and can process this. State is another one of the big bottlenecks here. So just going to quickly fly through state. Basically, as you increase the size of the network, you get state growth. As there's more transactions, this is a big problem. This is why Ethereum actually is bottlenecked and has a small block size. What we currently have an optimized state representation, which is a sparse Merkle tree. And the idea is that when Ethereum itself moves to Verkle trees, which is a slightly different state representation, then we will do the same. And it's going to be a lot easier then to actually start to optimize and manage this state. So again, we're sort of like working with the L1 roadmap here to make sure that Linea can also benefit from the same sort of performance benefits. And the state is going to be one that we're going to have to work on. I'm just going to wear through time. So Consensus, again, this is all about like messaging. There's a bit of work to do here to make sure we have the right number of participants. Is it 10? Is it 100 different nodes that need to achieve consensus on the messaging? What is the right number there? How do we optimize the stack? Networking, so how do we make sure that the blocks themselves, when we create a block, are being propagated such that they're in it's a very smooth process, and we can have multiple different clients for client diversity. So Linea today has amazing client diversity. You can run a Bezu node, a Geth node, Nevermind, Aragon. We want to maintain that diversity that makes Ethereum so great, but we need to make sure that we can actually propagate blocks to each of these different clients when we have 100 millisecond block times. So again, you can sort of see here if we're going to have if we're going to go to 100 millisecond block times, this leads to 1 megabytes data per second just for receiving the blocks, which is much higher than today for Ethereum. So some work to do there. Node synchronization. So obviously more transactions makes it difficult to sync. Like if you want to sync a full node and catch up with the state, if you have 2 years of history with lots of transactions, it's going to take longer. So we're going to implement a snapshot mechanism. So it's almost like a snapshot in time that you can sync to, verify, and then catch up to the tip of the chain. The coordinator, this is a specific Linea component, which is the brains of the rollup. So this component basically passes messages to the different components, like the prover and the sequencer. It sends data messages to the L1. Again, this currently generates things like the execution traces. And if we have much faster blocks, like a 20 times increase in the amount of data that we need to send, then we need to scale this component. And not a particular concern out of all of them, but we need to make sure it's good enough performance still. And then so a big one here actually is decentralization. Linea has a decentralization roadmap. We are currently executing that roadmap. We're making really good progress, and we published some research articles on different consensus protocols to definitely take a look at that. Today, Linea has a single sequencer, but this will be replaced essentially by a committee or a subcommittee. So where you have today a single node which builds the block, what you have in the future is there will be a sort of permissionless way for a committee to own an epoch or a slot, and then someone will propose a block, and then the other nodes in the committee will essentially verify that it was correct. Okay, and there'll be some sort of QBFT mechanism, let's say, that goes ahead and verifies that there is no malicious block being created. Okay, and that's going to help protect the protocol in a decentralized fashion. Okay, so it gives us that permissionless, decentralized qualities that we have on Ethereum that we need to implement on layer 2 as well. And then just to kind of wrap up, there's some external components that I wanted to highlight, things like block explorers. So these are almost key parts of a blockchain, right? Like your Etherscan and co. If they don't work, people sort of assume that the blockchain's going down. I think Solana had an issue recently, or someone else, where the explorer was down. People thought the blockchain was down, but it was just it wasn't actually true. And so again, we need to make sure these external components, which are outside the core rollup, can also meet the goals that we want to target. In terms of the timeline, so this is a super rough timeline, a potential timeline. If we meet, there's obviously non-technical factors which go into deciding these things, and it's a very complicated process. We can imagine sort of getting to our 2 gigabytes per second, something by 2027. Again, so let's say the next 2 to 3 years, we get to the scale where we could completely replace Visa or MasterCard, right? So all the world's, or all the Visas on-chain transactions could be put on-chain on a single L2 of Linea. So that's the sort of state that we want to get to. Again, I'll stop there because I've probably gone over time, but this is super interesting stuff. We have a very clear roadmap, an excellent team. And if you do want to go and check out more of the details, then either comment on my thread or go check out some of the forum posts on our forum.
I think, Declan, you gave really a full roadmap, also quite breakdown. I think people should really take the time to check also the full blog post on the forum, and also ask questions directly. But I think the table is kind of resuming everything, right? You kind of touched both on the availability side to the block builder side. My question is a little bit I will try to get a little bit more spicy here, but probably the last, I don't know, not just IRL conference, but I'm seeing a lot of debates around, I'm not putting names out, but different layer 1 around okay, reaching out 20,000 TPS, and in my kind of layer 2 landscape, you still need to sacrifice something, right? Assuming that you're having your layer 2 Linea around 20,000 EPS, and that's our goal. What are the things that, I mean, either on a layer 2 build on Ethereum, where the settlement obviously is on Ethereum as Linea is a zkVM, versus a native layer 1, where do you see the kind of the could be security guarantee, where you see those sacrifices be happening on both sides?
Yeah, so I think the roll-up-centric roadmap of Ethereum is great because it sort of is a division of labor or like interest. So Ethereum is optimizing for this like doomsday scenario, like governments shut down, I don't know, central banks start to implode, and like, can you as a like individual spin up a full node for this network with your money on it, like with a Raspberry Pi, right? Or even like just consumer hardware, like your laptop or whatever. And obviously, if you take that trade off and like you optimize for liveness and these sort of like doomsday scenarios, then you are going to naturally sacrifice for like performances, right? It's a very clear sort of scale. And so with the roll-up centric roadmap, like Ethereum is taking the decentralization part, which gives you your sort of like eventual hard finality. And then the roll-up, like Linea, is optimizing for more like performance. Some people will take that to the other extreme and say, I'm going to run like a really centralized L2, like a single server, and not to have any sort of local decentralization. But for us, for Linea, like we believe in that sort of philosophy of decentralization and real-time censorship resistance. Okay, so we want to have a sort of local consensus, a local decentralization mechanism. That means like you as a user, if you can't like, if you don't want to be censored in real time. And this is like practical implications. If you're in DeFi, right, there's a liquidation happening. You want to be able to get your transaction included like that. You don't want to necessarily have to wait for 24 hours. So for us, there's a practical and like very aligned philosophy of like decentralization on Linea, on layer 2. We're not going to go to the same lengths as Ethereum because we're not trying to rebuild Ethereum. We're just trying to improve it, provide a better UX. So scale, but also keep that sort of core philosophy of decentralization.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think it makes totally sense. And speaking a little bit about like developers, as this is a Linea developer community call, like we're getting quite a lot asked, like what I mean, apart like building my dApp and deploying it on Linea, is there any kind of like developer tooling in the roadmap? Obviously, like we advocate a lot around the ecosystem, around obviously public registry, so attestation with Verax. But what else is around there that you think will be relevant in the future, will kind of enable builders to could be either deploy faster or having tooling around scalability? Anything that you want to add on that side?
Yeah, I think there's like 3 categories I would probably call out. Like one is like just the other, there's like SDKs and tools like the ones that Tyler and Ryan will go through for MetaMask, Delegation Toolkit and Phosphor, these sort of like key partners of Linea that help you as a builder or a developer just like create better experiences, better apps, better communities. So those are sort of things that will make sure like work amazingly well on Linea. That you can consider those sort of tools like first-class citizens, and they'll be very, very nice and smooth developer experiences. I think the second one that we're like focused on is sort of as a developer, you might want to build like a better application on Linea. And again, we've got like tools for that, like some of our partners. You might want to build your own L3 or L2, and we're going to have tools for that as well. We announced the other week that Status is joining the Linea ecosystem and launching a layer 2. And then we also want to give you the tools to use things like ZK co-processors. Okay, so this is something that we're looking at on the roadmap, either with like partners who have like built these tools, or like perhaps even like helping produce some of our own toolkits where like you can extend the smart contract using this developer tool to do things like arbitrary computation in a privacy preserving way, writing a program in Rust, let's say. So all of this is going to be available. We're like very, very like conscious of the overall developer experience. And I think with this combination of like key partners, both outside consensus, within consensus, and then what the Linea core team is going to be building. And a good example of this is the Linea ENS integration. So soon, I think the next week or so, any community out there, you'll be able to launch your own Linea subname, right? So if you're a community, like an NFT profile picture community, you can launch a subname, right? Which is going to be awesome. And we're going to add some cool features there. Yeah. So all these different like developer toolkits are going to help you create better experiences.
Yeah, I think that will be super relevant. And I see a bunch of people speak about tokens. Thanks for also flagging this out. So please check all the LXP FAQ token on Discord. And also thanks for the cool people here, like, commenting on the kind of like road of the decentralization. It's great to see this kind of like, performance scalability blog posts in the forum. So thanks again, Declan. Let us know, like anything. We're staying tuned on your Twitters and everything that is coming out. And yeah, thanks so much. And anything that you want to close up to say?
Yeah, if you have not yet claimed your Linea ENS subname, like go to names.linea.build. If you have proof of humanity, it's free. These are going to be extremely key to exploring the Linea ecosystem. Like I'm super excited and bullish on what we're creating here. You can get it for free. So yeah, grab this. It will help make your address on Linea more human readable, more user friendly, and yeah, lots of exciting things going to come off the back of that. So go grab that now.
Sounds good. Awesome. Yeah, very
Yeah.
excited. Also, like from the status Twitter space that we did was really cool. Awesome, cool. Thank you so much, Declan. I will untag you, and we are just continuing our community call. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. So cool. So we have now an awesome presentation from Frogverse. So a little bit like a background of those June developer cook-off, as I mentioned before. This is everything around an online virtual hackathon that is happening every month. And we're basically running this monthly this August. And the previous month was all about deploying and building dApps. And one subcategories of the bounties were all about like, frogs and crocs. So a lot of like great Linea partners around that. And yeah, so I will invite right now Governor, and he will give us a little bit a background of what he built. And I think like you want to also share your screen, but please feel free also to introduce yourself.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Govardhan. As of now, I'm a student currently studying engineering. Hi to the all Linea community members that are watching this video live on all social media channels. Yeah, guys, this is my project Frogverse.
Sounds good.
Bas-
Let me share. Are you? Oh yes. Let me share the screen quickly. There you are. I love the designs.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, guys, this is my project Frogverse. Basically, Frogverse means a universe for frogs. So let's go to next slide. Yeah, guys, Frogverse is an on-chain frog ecosystem for Linea frog lovers. I think there are a lot of frog lovers on Linea community. I seen a lot of people who love eFrog NFTs. You will definitely love my project, guys. Basically, it is a virtual frog pond where players can collect and evolve their frog eggs into tadpoles, guys. And you can next convert these tadpoles into fully grown frogs. And there is also some background story for our game, guys. So let's get into that. It is my Frogverse is a fun to play game, and also my presentation will also be like little bit fun to watch. Yeah, guys. Once upon a time, there was a Amazon rainforest, and it was also a rainy season. Rainy season means there is a lot of plants, water, sand. Frogs love this environment, and as you guys can see, there was a pond there in Amazon rainforest, which is full of frogs and tadpoles. Yeah, guys. Frogs love to live in ponds, and they eat their food, and they love with each other, and they make little bit small tadpoles as their offsprings, and these tadpoles will grow into fully grown frogs. Yeah, guys, but there is some difficult time upcoming. Yeah, summer season, guys. In summer season, basically the pond will be dried up, and all the frogs will need to go out of the pond. So the frogs are basically sad. So if the frogs are sad means basically all our frog lovers also will become sad. So don't worry, guys, we have a solution. Yeah, again after few months we will get rainy season back again. So if we get a rainy season, the frogs will again dance again, and they will gather in the pond. So yeah, guys, now it is our responsibility to grow those pond to a big frog ecosystem. So let's play the Frogverse game. Yeah, guys, this is our Frogverse game. As you guys can see here, welcome to Frogverse. You want a frog pond, you have to raise the tadpoles into beautiful frogs there. My wallet is already connected, so I don't need to connect it again. I have some Linea Sepolia there. So let's play. Okay, guys. At present, we don't have any eggs here. So let me mint some eggs. Yeah, let me click on buy and approve the transaction. The wallet is loading. Let me approve it. Yeah, guys, transaction completed, and you can also see the transaction in the contract. Yeah, this is the transaction that was approved right now. And let me buy 2-3 more eggs, guys. We can't do anything with just one egg. Let me confirm it. Yeah, it was confirmed. So let me buy one more egg. Yeah, guys, I think we got 3 or egg. Yeah, guys, we got our 3 eggs. So this is basically our pond, guys. So in this pond we have different positions, position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. I think we have 24 positions. So we need to place these eggs in the pond. So let me place it. So I will place at position 3. So it's gonna ask, are you want to place this egg at position 3 and convert it to the tadpole? So yeah, I want. So let me click on S. Yeah, MetaMask was opening. Let me approve it. As you guys can see here, we got our tadpole here. So let me feed for some food to this tadpole. So if we feed food to the tadpole, it will basically grow into a fully grown frog. So let me feed it. Let me confirm. Yeah, guys, as you guys can see, this frog was converted into the fully grown frog. So let me do one more thing. So let me add one more little egg to our frog pond. So let me add it down here. Yeah, I want to put that at position 22 and convert it to the tadpole. As you guys can see, we got our tadpole here. So let me feed some frog food to our tadpole. It was a little bit hungry. Yeah, let me confirm the transaction. As you guys can see here, see, these are the transactions that we performed. Yeah, guys, our tadpoles was grown into fully grown frogs. So yeah, guys, now they are ready to mate with their loves, so they can make some babies. So let me mate this frog. Yeah, guys, if you mate the frogs, you will get 2 eggs, so that you can grow the frog ecosystem further. As you guys can see, we got 2 eggs. So let me mate it with another frog. So yeah, I want to mate the frogs. Let me confirm it. As you guys can see, we got 2 more eggs. So like this, we can grow our frog ecosystem further, guys. Like this, we need to make our frog ecosystem bigger and bigger, so that the frogs will be happy and their family will grow. So yeah, that's it, guys.
Sounds good. That's
This
super
is
cool.
my project.
How you came out with all the designs? A lot of people in the chat are asking.
Yeah, I basically I inspired from these. There are few previous games, right? Like in previous, we have some flower games. Those flower games will be there, some field there. We have to place the seeds and we have to harvest them. Then we will get some tokens. Yeah, I inspired from that, and also I developed it on Scaffold ETH.
Ah, nice. So you use Scaffold ETH
Yes.
to start it up, and then deployed on Linea directly. Did you
Yes.
consider something like building like kind of like an attestation registry for all the kind of like frogs, kind of like wins and bets and stuff?
No, I didn't done it.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good So what's coming next in the game?
I think I want to deploy it to the mainnet, and I want to add some few more functions. So it was currently it was a basic game, so I want to add few more functions and few more characters and make it bigger, and I want it to make it available for the Linea community users. So that's what I'm planning.
Nice. Sounds good. Sounds good. Definitely very exciting. Really think like, like you can build this further and making an impact. I think also like a lot of people will play
Thank you.
this whenever it's on mainnet. Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, and for for builders that are currently like building the apps and deploying on Linea, you have always the possibility to join this developer Linea developer cook-off, and we're putting some of the links later. Awesome. Thank you so much, Governor, and hopefully like we see each other somewhere in some of the hackathons. And yeah, I will unpin you right now, and yeah, see you next.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Cool. So we are going next with Ryan on the delegation toolkit. So as we mentioned a little bit before, like Ryan did a great presentation, did the MetaMask Spotlight in Brussels, if I remember correctly. And we spoke about the Red Balloon Challenge. And I think one of the most amazing kind of like dApps being built with the delegation toolkit. And I think like there is so many interesting use case being out there. But hey, let's get a big round of applause, even virtually, to Ryan. Feel free to introduce yourself, and let's get going of what the delegation toolkit and why here on Linea.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get started. Thank you. I'm Ryan McPeck. I'm engineering lead of all things delegation and embedded accounts at MetaMask. So yeah, let's dive into it if you want to. Yeah, delegation toolkit. So what is the delegation toolkit? So there's two kind of main parts of it. One is the delegation framework, which is like a set of Solidity contracts. And then the other one is like VM-based libraries, our SDK, our Delegator SDK. That is a convenience library to help you embed Gator accounts and kind of create delegations, redeem delegations, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, next slide. So in this delegation framework, there's kind of three main parts to it. There's our Delegator accounts, which are 4337 smart contract accounts. There's our delegation manager, which is a smart contract account a smart contract that kind of validates a delegation if it can be used in general. And then there's the caveat enforcers, which are contracts that are completely customizable, extensible, that enforce a certain condition on a delegation. Okay, so let's dive into Delegator accounts with a little bit more detail. So like I said, they're 4337 smart contract accounts. They're a 1271 signer, so that's how we use it to sign it. They implement the execution interface, which is compatible with our ERC 7710 delegation manager. So what that means is our delegation manager can just call our Delegator accounts. So you need to have this execution interface on your Delegator account to use with a delegation manager. And what that means is our Delegator accounts can create delegations. And we'll dive in a little bit more on what is Ryan talking about creating delegations. And then this Delegator account is also a passkey or an EOA signer. So you can use passkeys or multiple passkeys actually, or an EOA as a signer / owner of these accounts. Okay, and then delegation manager, like I said, it implements the 7710 interface, which is redeem delegations. So what that is you pass in a bytes array of permission context, which is the delegation chain. So the authority you have to perform a certain action. And then we implemented 7579, the modular accounts execution interface using mode and execution call data. So you can then pass in the mode and the execution data. And usually the execution data will be like a to value or data. So making a call. And yeah, so what the delegation manager does is it goes through that redeem delegation. It will call out, it'll walk the delegation chain. So if you delegate from Alice, Bob to Carol, it'll walk the delegation chain from Carol, Bob, Alice, execute the certain action, and then walk it back from Alice, Bob, Carol, executing the after hooks of the caveat enforcers, which we'll talk more about right now. Yeah, nice. So caveat enforcers are smart contracts. They're extensible in any way. They just do something, and they can do whatever you want them to do. So some of the caveat enforcers we have is like a timestamp enforcer, right? You can execute this action if and only if it's before Sunday or after Sunday or something like that. They can implement the before hook or the after hook or both. And the before hook, as it sounds, executes in the delegation manager. The delegation manager calls the before hook before the execution, and it calls the after hook after the execution, kind of like what I just talked about. And yeah, you can do a lot of cool things with these caveat enforcers. You can pretty much do anything you want. And with the after hooks, it kind of creates a base for intent, kind of like Francesco was talking about with our red balloon during ECC. We are able to leverage the before and after hook of caveat enforcers to make sure that when you share a balloon, you can get a 10% commission. So you share a balloon, and I'm going to share a balloon if and only if I receive 1 ETH in return, or whatever the case might be. So super cool stuff you can do. You can create primitives with it, like intent machines or whatever you want to do. Okay, what else are we going to talk about? A delegation. Yeah, cool. So this is the struct of a delegation in Solidity. It has a delegate. So who I'm delegating to is Bob. The delegator could be Alice. So the address of his account. The authority is if we're making a chain, we use the previous delegation hash to link those delegations. And caveats are the contracts. So a list of whatever conditions we want to enforce on the delegation, like I was talking about. Salt is to change the delegation hash, and then the signature is the signature. Okay, next. Oh, the caveat enforcer. So this is what the caveat enforcer has to implement, and it's a little small. Sorry about that. But the before and after hook, and it has these parameters that you have access to when you're building your caveat enforcer if you need to. The terms, so that is created by the delegator. So the terms in the timestamp enforcer would be the timestamp in seconds, right? We would pass those into the terms, and the caveat enforcer would make sure, okay, these are the terms I have. Is it before Sunday? Can they execute this? Okay, it's good, or it reverts. The args are an optional parameter passed in by the redeemer. So if we're building a caveat enforcer and we want the redeemer, whoever's redeeming the delegation, to pass in some certain information that we need to take action on, then we can use the args parameter as that. The mode is like the 7579 interface and with the execution call data. So you can use that to get the transaction. What is the redeemer trying to do? And can they do it, right? And then delegation hash is really used for statefulness, right? So you can create a caveat enforcer like an allowance enforcer. I want to give a delegation so that this person can use 100 USDC. We can use that delegation hash to return to that delegation. Say they want to use it one time to redeem 20 USDC and then 20 USDC again. We can do that using the state of the delegation hash. Delegator is the delegator in the chain. So it would be Alice to Bob. That would be Alice. And the redeemer is the delegate who is redeeming the delegation. Cool. Oh, cool. We're going to look through the delegation redemption lifecycle. So the redeemer's on the left. That's a delegator account. The delegation manager, you can see, is in the middle. Caveat enforcers, top left. The root delegator, that would be like Alice in our example, Alice, Bob, Carol, right? That's the root delegator, and they're going to be executing a certain action. So can you click one time for me? Click it. Click. Yeah, there we go. Redeem delegation. So the redeemer is going to call redeem delegations on the delegation manager, and delegation manager is then going to click. Yeah. Execute all the caveat enforcers before hook. So the delegation manager is going to run through all that delegation chain and call whatever caveat enforcers are on there, going to call the before hook. If it reverts at any time, we're donezo, and the whole transaction reverts atomically. So let's say it all passes there, then click. There we go. Then we're going to call the root delegator, so Alice, and we're going to call a special function execute from executor, which is 7579 compatible. And then that root delegator, Alice, is going to make the call from her account to execute the action. So if the action is transfer 100 USDC, it's being called from Alice's account. So you don't need any sort of approvals since the call is actually coming from Alice's account. So she is message sender. And then it transfers that 100 USDC to wherever the redeemer wants, and then click. And then it executes all the after hooks. And so you could use this as far as like intents or conditionals in the after hook. If those revert at any time, the whole transaction reverts, the 100 USDC, all that, it all reverts. And if it passes, then we're good to go. So that's the flow of redeeming a delegation. And you can see there's a lot of things we can do with that, right? Like any of these before and after hooks, those are conditionals. So we could do like game vouchers, right? If you have a game, you can create kind of like coupons for your game. Here's a delegation to use my game tokens on my game, but you can only have these game tokens if you use them on my game. So you can validate that through these rules using caveat enforcers, using the delegation framework, which is really cool. Okay, what else are we going to talk about? Okay, so our Delegator SDK, these are VM-based libraries. They're utility libraries, so they help you create invisible accounts, embedded accounts, and dApps. You can use whatever signer you want. You could use burner accounts, or you could use local storage, local passkey. You could use third-party providers, whatever you want to do, and we'll help you do it. And then you can also control the confirmations. There's no pop-ups, there's no branding, there's no MetaMask this, MetaMask that. You can provide a completely Web 2 experience in your dApp. And you can unlock certain cool things, right? Like I just talked about, right? Like app-specific vouchers. There's also referral links that are very uniquely that come out of the box with Delegation Framework. You can invite friends, hey, create a free account, I'll pay for gas, and you'll start with, 10 frog tokens or whatever is going on here. And then you can also create assets gaslessly, right? Using something that I call counterfactual assets, but that's not a very friendly word. But what it is just like a deferred asset, right? You're creating this intention of an asset. Here's a delegation to have this NFT. And then you don't pay for gas until you actually redeem that delegation. And then there's ways around the gas, like Linea. If you build with Linea, and why I like Linea with the delegation toolkit is it's fast, it's type 2. You don't have to change anything. It's more secure, in my opinion, right, than an optimistic rollup. There's no challenge period. But we can also do certain things, right? We can also work with you as far as like gas payments and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity here. We're excited to work with you. If you can go to the next slide. Sign up at gator.metamask.io for our gated alpha. Our delegation framework is open source. It's a public good. You can check it out right now at GitHub, delegation framework. But sign up for that private alpha. We'll work closely with you, get your use case, and prioritize you building on Linea. And yeah, we're super excited about it.
So, sounds good, Ryan. Like any few words on kind of like, why dApp developer, especially like building with the delegation toolkit, should deploy on Linea, as a framework directly?
I mean, you don't have to change anything, right? Like there's nothing special you have to do. You don't have to change any kind of like special opcodes or anything. So it works on Ethereum. It works on Linea. Linea's fast. We can work with you in special ways to kind of like maybe do some gas subsidy or whatnot. So yeah, and then I'll personally take a priority over if you build on Linea, if you fill that out in the private alpha sign up. Yeah.
Nice, sounds good. Yeah, I was definitely impressed by. We invited the Red Balloon winner, and the time they were speaking about, he didn't had to pay any gas fee and almost like log in directly in his wallet post the first action. It's quite impressive as a kind of like user experience directly, right? If you can define those actions.
Yeah, and that's how we're able to create this kind of like Web 2 experience for users that users are used to, right? Like our goal is to be able to create apps that users won't even know they're using Web 3. And so one of the ways we can do that with your example there is Red Balloon, it was just completely no transactions until you actually wanted to win. That's one way of doing it. The other way is creating these invisible accounts. There's no pop-ups or anything like that. I think it's going to be, there's some
That's
really cool things that can be built.
Yeah, especially because I mean, how today someone could implement the Red Balloon challenge without the delegation toolkit? Because you need to go through all the smart accounts, kind of like a delegation, right? I think it's also much more complicated, no?
It absolutely is, and it's going to be expensive, right? Like all that gas for. So if you want to put that all on chain, saying like EAS or like some sort of registry to create that chain every time you share a Red Balloon, that's a transaction, and so we abstract that away. There is none of that. So not only do you get like no gas, but you also get instant feedback for the user.
Yeah.
There's no like pending circle of like waiting for on-chain settlement. There's nothing like that. Once you share a Red Balloon, it's instant. And that's part of the Web 2 experience that we're trying to implement in Web 3.
Sounds good. No, Ryan, I wish we had more time to actually speak about delegation toolkit on Linea. Very spicy question, last question. Like, who did those design? Those are awesome.
Yeah. Actually, the first one was Dan Finlay, so I'll give him total credit for that.
Yeah, big shout out to Dan for that.
Yeah.
Without that, it's super cool to see, especially like the kind of like player and the stakeholder like flow, and the fact that you can also enable sub action. I think is enabling a lot of flexibility from the DApp developer directly, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan. And yeah, make sure that you sign up, guys. And I think, we'll be also like planning to have some of those bounties, especially for like the delegation toolkit coming up. So yeah, stay tuned. Is there like a page right now? I mean, people can go directly to the GitHub repo here and on Gator. Is specifically like on the MetaMask docs available, or those are the links to check?
Not yet. Once you get through, so that's why I would encourage folks to sign up for our private alpha. Once you get through and have like something you want to build, we'll work with you and we'll give you specific Delegator SDK docs. And then you'll have access to those and then you can start building. So
nice. Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. I will untag you, but awesome to hear about this. And I see we don't have too much time. Let me untoggle you and have you here. And I will now welcome Tyler, our last, let's say, panelist or community call like presenter of the day. I mean, I think everybody know Tyler at this point, not just because of Phosphor, but because of like a lot of like awesome things that you're building around the space. And not just around NFTs, right? So let's get it started. So Tyler, you want to quickly introduce yourself and feel free to share the screen. I think like I heard you want to do some kind of live demo. So it's is this true?
How much time do we have?
In theory, we have like 7 minutes, but let's do it, right? We can have also a little bit longer. I think we have such a good content this August. And I think it's really worth it to share with all the audience.
Are you all seeing my screen?
Can see it.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Tyler Mulvihill. I work on the Phosphor team, and Phosphor is the NFT business unit of Consensus, which also houses Linea and MetaMask and DIN and Vira. So this presentation is about how to collect and monetize collectibles on Linea. Phosphor loves Linea. We think it's one of the cheapest chains. It's one of the most performant chains. And frankly, we build on it in large part because we know the team and we have trust in the team, which is a big part, oddly, of building on certain products in blockchain. So I'm here to talk to you about Phosphor. But first, why Linea? I alluded to this, but it's a user-friendly version of Ethereum that's easy to build on. From a UX perspective, it's fast, it's cheap, it's secure. They have great integrations. They have great dApps, which is something that we are looking for so that our communities can suck in other communities. And from a DevX perspective, it has some of the best tools, SDKs, protocols, and it's EVM compatible. So what wouldn't you love? Most of you have heard from Declan earlier, and in large part, I mean, the guy is he's somebody you follow in the space and somebody you trust. So he's building it, we're using it. So what is Phosphor? Phosphor is a toolkit for launching digital collectibles that helps brands and creators build a direct and engaging and rewarding relationship with their people. We want to show you how awesome it is to collect on Phosphor now, and how wonderful it is and easy it is to monetize your work as a creator. And for everyone who's listening, we are still very early, so hop on Phosphor early. You're going to have that feeling of early community that we know and love in crypto. So Phosphor allows you to reward your fans and build engagement with a suite of powerful tools. We enable you to send NFTs or collectibles, launch claim pages. This is auto-generated claim pages for you, so you can get up and running with a few clicks. We have recipes that make it very, very easy for you to do specific tasks versus trying to create something yourself. But we also enable you to create extremely advanced drops with multiple drops in other drops, extending the time of them happening. Basically, whatever you want to do, you can do, but we also make it very easy. And a unique aspect of our platform is that we enable you to capture snapshots. So it's incredibly easy to parse your community into who bought what, when, who participated in what event, and reward them and engage them. And you can see here on the top left, and monetize. This is a kind of a sneak peek alpha of two things that we're going to be enabling. One that's live that nobody knows about, which I'll tell you on this call, and another one which is coming soon, which is why you should start getting interested. Phosphor is built for the mainstream. So although it works for and caters to degens like ourselves on this call, likely, and developers with incredibly robust APIs under the hood, but we're also ready for the mainstream. So it's a no-code platform. Crypto is optional, so you can buy credits with a credit card. We enable recipes, but also advanced drops. We have multi-chain support, so whether you're deploying on mainnet or Linea, Polygon, Palm, Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, the list goes on. We support it. We have also, for a limited time, if you sign up, $10 of credit gets automatically put onto your account, which is an absolute ton of on-chain activity via Linea. So encourage you all to go to phosphor.xyz and create an account and start messing around. And we also enable you to launch faster. So when we were looking for our unique value proposition or why people should be using Phosphor, almost all of the feedback just came back, which is it's just so easy, which is hard to put on paper, but you should try it and tell us if it's right. So here's a call to action. When we launched last month, we've created something called the Creator Spotlight, which allows users to collect and creators to monetize their work. And part of this, if you can see here, and for those of you who don't know, if you go on MetaMask Portfolio, there's a new NFT tab. And that NFT tab, the first couple of slots are part of our Creator Spotlight. So not only will your work, if you're selected, be featured on MetaMask Portfolio, but also on other channels like Warpcast and on our owned socials. So sign up for a chance to be featured. Go to phosphor.xyz, click on the top right, Creator Spotlight, fill it out, and tell us why you rock. Okay, so let me go into a quick demo and live drop. But here is the screenshot if you want to follow us on X and Warpcast, or if you want to get in touch with me directly, I'm at Tyler Mulvihill at consensus.net. Okay, so this is Phosphor. This is me logged into the creator portal. You can see here my little emoji, which I created. And these are the recipes that I alluded to. So if you want to do something really quick and really tactical, we enable drop to earn. So you can sell for a mint fee of 0.000777 ETH, which we all know and love. There's an ability to create a token of appreciation to celebrate milestones to reward your community, proof of online participation to reward attendance for online meetings, and proof of real attendance, giving collectibles to audiences at your real live events. This one's specifically catered at like marketing activations and conferences. So it has a mobile app and it's really easy to generate a QR code and do things IRL. But for this, I'm going to show you all how to do a quick drop to earn. So this is what explains kind of what it's about, but I already know what it's about. I'm going to upload a image. I'm going to call this Grand Future because I believe in an anti-fragile universe and future. Let me get my address. Oops. And if anybody buys my NFT for a limited time, 100% of that 0.000777 ETH goes back to the creator. So they would all go back to me. So in about 30 seconds, I'm pretty much done. I get to choose which network I want to drop on. And of course, I'm picking my favorite Linea. I go ahead and deploy this. And extremely quickly, I get to cast this on Warpcast if I want. So this is a distribution channel. So this is like it generates a Farcaster frame. A regular link, I can deep link this to MetaMask if most of my users are MetaMask users. It's a much, much easier and better experience. Or it auto-generates a claim page for me. So this is my claim page. I can see it here. This was generated with Midjourney. I believe in an anti-fragile future. I didn't add any metadata, but it's on Linea. It's an ERC 1155, and it will be available for 30 days at a mint price of 0.00077 ETH, which is about $2. This is launching soon. In a few seconds, it will complete launch. But this is really only the creator view. I want to show you something cool. So I encourage you all to go to app.phosphor.xyz, which is our feed. So this is a new drop. This is also alpha. Jaden Hills is going to be our creator spotlight for this week. She's a Coop Records artist, and this song is next level. I wish I could play it for you. It's already got 4 minutes, and I think this went live a couple minutes ago. And you can scroll down. Very cool. Let me mint this and show you. The experience is extremely easy, and it's gamified in a way that is pretty interesting. So this is processing mint. I haven't minted this. Hugs, not drugs. I think that's kind of funny. I'll go ahead and mint it. Same experience. And you'll see how it all starts lining up on the right. So I can scroll through these, help us populate this, make it awesome. Some of the NFTs are cool. Some of them are weird. And some of them are pandas. Okay, let me stop sharing. And that is the conclusion of my presentation. 2 minutes over.
Oh, Tyler, that was awesome. We like pandas. So how is I mean, I really appreciate the fact that it's all integrated. Like Warpcast, for example, support is really like super Web3 native, right? I think it's really cool, especially for both creator to distribute. And what other like feature you think like they're super useful for both creator and kind of like even like users to get recognized and get earlier like those creator easier?
Yeah, so I think I'm mostly a collector. And so I love the infinite feed. I go on it almost every day, multiple times a day to see what's cooking, what's new. I also think that we cater to certain chains like Linea that just attract a different set of creators. So I go there specifically because it's new and it's cool and it's emerging, and that's where I like to be. That's where I feel most comfortable. And so I think from a collector standpoint, go to app.phosphor.xyz and like check it out and mint some stuff. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So check it out if you don't want to spend a couple bucks by accident. But from a creator standpoint, I think the ease of the platform, as you saw it, it's just so easy. It's drag and drop, a couple of words, you click enter, and then you get to distribute it to your fans directly outside of the Phosphor feed. You can go directly onto Farcaster frames. Or if you think that you've got the stuff, apply for Creator Spotlight, and we're going to be featuring all sorts of artists. And this is we only have 3 tiles now, but we're going to be expanding the program and partnerships. So I think everyone on this call likes to be early. Everyone on this call likes really unique stuff. Everyone on this call likes Linea, and Phosphor is now here to support all that.
It's so cool, and it's also quite early, right? Like the Frog the Great is also like the social part. I think like this is something like a good value proposition. What else? I mean, what you can do like on overview on the social side, so that we kind of like enlightening everybody.
Yeah, I mean, follow us on Twitter at Phosphor XYZ, and on Warpcast, same at. Reach out to us, even if you dislike it or you hate it. This is the time where, I mean, you have direct access to me, all of our PMs. Like we're listening, and we want to build really cool stuff for collectors and creators and help people have fun. So if you got ideas, let us know.
Nice. Yeah, the Creator Spotlight is super cool, actually. I'm just checking it right now. Cool, awesome. Tyler, thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward also like for everybody to see that also IRL. I think like Phosphor will be around. Remember James also like being around a lot and giving like a bunch of swag around that. And yeah, super exciting also to new features and new drops that you guys are pushing. And looking forward to invite you again on some of those community calls for future updates.
Thank you all. Thanks for listening, and thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Sounds good. So let's get a quick recap. I think we are almost on time. Just want to also like shout out everybody in the call again. I think it's not easy, you know, coming and presenting, especially like from all our great builders and community members coming and present like whatever they build and deployed on Linea. I think that's also like a big attention spam, and we want to do that more, right? So if you think you're building cool stuff and you just want to reach out or you're just meeting us, feel free really to just say hi. And yeah, and especially for like hackathon winners and people building cool stuff, we're always trying to invite them and present whatever they're building in the next developer community calls. So just a little bit recap. So upcoming IRL events, we just did a Builder Night Tokyo during eTokyo and Web3 WebEx that is happening like this week. Will be also like next week during Korea Blockchain Week. So if you guys are around, feel free also to say hi. We will also like speak around like different like infra and scalability topics during Builder Night Seoul, and then obviously like token and the ETH Global Singapore. We are planning also to have a good bunch of like Linea bounties, and also like around some Linea developer tooling. And yeah, so if you're already like registered, if you're not, like check out ETH Global Singapore. That is a good time also to hack. And yeah, also we're planning a bunch of like other activation. What we mentioned before on the Linea developer cook-off, we have this initiative is happening every month, and right now we are in the August dev cook-off, and it's still open for like 3 days. We're probably like extending for a couple of days, and so that you have a little bit more time. But basically this is just build a dApp, deploy on Linea, or even like whatever feature you're building right now, you can just extend the functionality of your dApp, you deploy on Linea, and you're still eligible for submission for the Linea dev cook-off. And then obviously we're planning our next community call in September. So for anybody that also like want to present something or just want to highlight something that you guys are building in the ecosystem around Linea and more, feel free to just reach out. And that's basically what I'm talking about. Here is the QR code for the Linea Builders Club. So this is a dedicated developer Telegram that we started, I would say like something like 1 year ago, really to see and shout out all the great Linea developers around the ecosystem, also like showing like what's happening around the grants and how we can further support the Linea builders around their ecosystem. And that's basically what we're trying to do here. So this is kind of like a group where we are not just welcoming developers, but also like designers and different kind of categories of anybody's a builder around us. So again, thank you so much. Big shout out to everybody that was involved in this August community call. Sorry we were 8 minutes late, but I think it was very worth it. Even if it's an August, a little bit like slower piece, like we've been like shipping a lot of like strong community members have been building and deploying on Linea, and we are super excited again to be around. So thanks everybody. I will stop sharing, and big shout out to everybody, and I will see you in the